Welcome back, students, to your virtual biology class brought to you by IOTA Virtual Learning. I remain your virtual biology tutor, Mr. Kehinde Adeshina. We started this lesson on homeostasis, and in our last lesson, we looked deeply into what homeostasis means, the organs responsible for homeostasis. In that lesson, we were able to discuss in details the kidney and the liver's function in homeostasis, including the factors and diseases affecting the kidneys and the liver. We will continue in this lesson by looking at the skin, the structure of the skin, and the function of the skin in homeostasis. Later in the video, we will look at the quiz, that is, past questions relating to homeostasis in general. So follow me as we continue in this lesson. Now let's look at the skin. The mammalian skin is the largest organ of the body. It covers the entire body surface apart from the bones and cartilage. The skin is the toughest tissue in the body. The structure of the skin. The skin is made up of two layers, which are the epidermis and the dermis. The epidermis is the outer layer of the skin. It is made up of three distinct layers. These are conified layer, granular layer, and the Malpighian layer. The horny or conified layer is the outermost layer of the epidermis. It is made up of flat, hard, dead, and scaly cells. This layer is impregnated with a protein called keratin, which makes the layer tough, flexible, and waterproof. The cells in the conified layers are constantly being worn out and replaced by the cells from the layer beneath. This horny conified layer varies in thickness from one part of the body to the other, and it is usually very thick on the sole of the feet and palm and thin on the eyelids. The granular layer. The layer is consisting of living cells which are produced from the Malpighian layers. The cells continually move up towards the surface of the skin through this layer. In the process, they become gradually flattened, they accumulate keratin, and eventually die when they get to the conified layer, the Malpighian layer or the germinative layer. This layer consists of living and actively dividing cells. It contains a pigment called melanin. Melanin gives the skin its characteristic color. It has also another pigment called keratin, which is responsible for toughness and flexibility of the skin. The melanin layer has many infoldings, some that penetrate deeply into the dermis and forming hair follicles and sebaceous gland. Now let's look at the dermis. The dermis is the innermost part of the skin, and it composed mainly of connective tissues containing blood capillaries, hair follicles, sweat gland, sebaceous gland, sensory nerve endings, and fat cells. The blood capillaries bring food and oxygen to the dermis and the epidermis, and they also help to remove waste. Hair follicles is a deep pit formed by the infoldings of the Malpighian layer. The Malpighian cells at the base of each pit keep dividing to produce a long cylindrical hair which comes out of the epidermis. The sweat gland. The sweat gland are found in the dermis as coiled tubes which continue as sweat ducts that open at the surface of the skin as sweat pores. The cells of the coil tube absorb water from the capillaries surrounding them and secrete them into the tubes. This water, which contains small amount of waste products such as mineral salts and urea, is what constitutes what we call sweat. When this sweat reaches the surface of the skin, It evaporates and cools the body temperature. The sebaceous gland secretes sebum, which is an oily substance. This comes into the hair follicle. Sebum keeps the hair and the epidermis waterproof and supple. It also keeps out dust and microorganisms. Functions of the skin. Protection. The skin protects the body against entrance of microbes, against mechanical injuries, and against the ultraviolet rays of the sunlight. It also prevents desiccation by acting as a waterproof. The pigment melanin of the skin absorbs ultraviolet rays from the sunlight, which is harmful to the body. Excretion. The skin also excretes excess water, mineral salt, and some nitrogenous waste through the sweat gland as sweat. Sensitivity. The skin is sensitive to its environment through the specialized sensory nerve endings scattered in the dermis. The skin is sensitive to such stimuli as change in temperature, pressure, pain, and cold. The skin is also a sense organ as it contains sensory cells which can receive stimuli from external surroundings and send them to the appropriate parts of the body for interpretation and action. Production of vitamin D. The skin is able to manufacture vitamin D by using ultra rays from the sunlight. Production of milk. The mammary gland in female animals is a modification of the skin, and it produces milk which are used to feed the young ones. Storage of food. The skin also helps to store fat under the dermis of mammals. Fat so stored form an insulating layer in mammals. Regulation of body temperature. Animals are able to regulate their body temperature in various habitats or environments due to the characteristics of the skin. Based on the body temperature, vertebrates are grouped into two categories: poikilothermic animals, which are animals whose body temperature varies according to the temperature of their environment. Examples include fishes, amphibians, frog, toad, reptiles like snake, lizard, etc. Homeothermic animals, which are animals whose body temperature remains constant regardless of the fluctuation or changes in the temperature of their external environment. These animals include birds, mammals, and including man. Lastly, let us look at how the skin regulates the body temperature on a hot day and on a cold day. On a hot day, a mammal keeps its body temperature constant. A rise in body temperature as a result of rise in environmental temperature stimulates the following processes to get rid of excess heat from the body. 1. Vasodilation. This is a process whereby the capillaries near the skin surface dilate, while those in the deeper layer of the skin constrict. This causes large volume of blood to flow near the surface of the skin so that heat is lost to the surrounding via conduction, convection, and radiation. Number 2 is sweating. In humans, the sweat gland becomes very active on a hot day and produces large amount of sweat. This sweat flows out of the surface of the skin. As this sweat evaporates, heat from the body is cooled down by the sweat. Decrease in metabolic rate. The body slows down in its metabolic activities to reduce metabolic rates and produce less heat. Number 4, lowering of hairs. On a hot day in hairy mammals, the hair erector muscles relax, causing the hair to lie flat on the skin surface. This forces out most of the hair trapped among the hairs. Without the insulating layer, the animal loses more heat from its body. Lastly is behavioral changes. Many animals keep cool by staying in shady places. Human beings wear light clothes with light-colored absorbent materials. Now, can you guess how the skin would regulate body temperature on a cold day? All right, nice try. On a cold day, the body regulates temperature by undergoing all the reverse of the processes taking place on a hot day. So on a cold day, the following process takes place: vasoconstriction. The capillaries near the surface, instead of dilating, will constrict, while those in the deeper layers, instead of constricting, they dilate. This causes a smaller volume of blood to flow near the surface of the skin so that heat loss is greatly reduced. This conserves the heat within the body. Sweating is reduced because the sweat gland becomes inactive. There is increase in metabolic rate to produce more heat to raise the temperature of the body. There is raising of hairs in hairy mammals. In this process, the hair erector muscles contracts to raise the hair and trap more hair. Since hair is a bad conductor of heat, the layer of hair next to the skin acts as an insulator and prevents heat loss from the body. Lastly, behavioral changes. Many mammals keep warm by staying in their nest and huddling into a ball to reduce surface area. Human beings, on the other hand, wear woolen clothes, jackets, and coats to conserve heat. All right, students, it's quiz time. As it is our normal routine to review past WAEC questions that are related to the topic we just treated, we are going to be looking at past questions that involve homeostasis, and we are going to answer them in this quiz section. The first question we'll look at is as far back as 1996, the question 16 of that year. And it says, the maintenance of a fairly constant internal environment of an organism is called A. Homeostasis, B. Homeostasis, C. Turgidity, and D. Homeothermic. So what do you think is the answer to this question? The correct option is option A, homeostasis. Homeostasis is the maintenance of a fairly constant internal environment of an organism. Option B, which is homeostasis, is wrong because homeostasis is a mechanism that describes how organisms maintain a sequence of developmental changes in the face of internal and external turbulentation, or in the face of internal and external changes. It is not the same as homeostasis. Option C, which is turgidity, on the other hand, is the state of being swollen or firm, usually due to being full of liquid. For example, cells become turgid when they absorb water and store it in their vacuoles. So it is not the regulation of internal environment. Homeothermic, which is option D, is a term which means having a relatively constant body temperature that is maintained regardless of environmental temperature. So it is not the entire regulation of internal environment. The next question is from 1998, question 17, and it says, which of these is not a function of the kidneys? Which of these is not a function of the kidneys? A. Production of urine. B. Acid-base balance. C. Osmoregulation. And D. production of bile. Look at the options and pick your answer. The correct option is option D, production of bile. Option A, which is production of urine. B, acid-base balance, maintenance of acid-base balance. C, osmoregulation. They are all functions of the kidney in homeostasis. However, D, which is our answer here, is a function of the liver and not of the kidneys. Question 19 from 1998, and it says, which of the following organ is concerned with detoxification of harmful substances? Which of the following organs is concerned with detoxification of harmful substances? A, kidneys. B, lungs. C, gallbladder. And D, liver. The correct option is option D, the liver. The liver helps to detoxify harmful substances and excrete it out of the body through the kidneys. The next question is question 17 from 2003, and it says, in cold condition, the mammalian body responds in the following ways except. In cold condition, the mammalian body responds in the following way except A, shivering. B, vasodilation. C, vasoconstriction. And D, increased metabolic rate. Look at the options and pick your answer. The correct option is option B, vasodilation. In cold environments or in cold weather, the skin and the body respond to these changes by shivering, vasoconstriction, and increased metabolic rate, among others. However, our answer, which is option B, vasodilation, is how the skin responds to hot conditions to regulate the body temperature in order to lose heat from the body. The next question is question 24 from 2005, and it says, which of the following takes place when a person's body temperature is raised above 37 degrees? Which of the following takes place when a person's body temperature is raised above 37 degrees? A, sweating and vasoconstriction. B, panting and vasoconstriction. C, sweating and vasodilation. And B and D, panting and vasodilation. Look at the pairing of the processes and pick the two which correctly go for hot temperature. The correct option is option C, sweating and vasodilation. Now let's look at the pairing of the other option. Now in option A, sweating is correct, but vasoconstriction is wrong because the body will undergo vasoconstriction when the temperature falls below 37 degrees, that is in cold condition. Option B, panting, is wrong, and vasoconstriction is also wrong because both are ways the body regulates temperature on a cold day and not when the body is raised above 37 degrees. Option D, which is also wrong, is panting and vasodilation vasodilation. Now, vasodilation is correct because it helps to lose heat, but panting is wrong because panting produces more heat, which will add to the temperature of the body. The next question is question 12 from 2014, and it says, which of the following is not a function of the mammalian skin? Which of the following is not a function of the mammalian skin? A. Regulation of body temperature. B. Reception of external stimulus. C. Excretion. And D. Gaseous exchange. What is the answer? The correct option is option D, gaseous exchange. The skin helps to regulate body temperature through the different processes that we have studied. The skin is also acting as a sense organ because it has sensory cells which respond to external stimulus. The skin also helps to excrete water, salt, and urea in form of sweat in a process of excretion. However, D, which is our answer, is wrong because the skin does not release any gas. It is not